We are striving to give you information that will help you to grow in your walk with God. And we are today having a special conversation about how not to get played. The devil is a deceiver. He is one that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And we should not get played by Satan. The devil, he is cunning and he's crafty and he makes things look a certain way. And when you get into it, you find out it's not like that. And if you follow his path and allow his uh, words to take root in you, then you can actually end up getting played. And the way that he plays on people is actually through other people. Sometimes I think that people are looking for the devil as an outward devil, like with the some type of outward sign,
Right.
But actually, to be clear, sometimes people are looking for obvious signs of the devil,
Right.
and actually, he's more subtle than that. And so he'll get in somebody and he'll work through somebody. And sometimes a person have smooth talk, look good, smell good, all of that. Sometimes close relative,
Right.
all of that. And in that, they will use their vocabulary and their language and their craftiness to persuade you to do different things that in the end, it's not going to be good for you. In the beginning, it looks like it's
It
good.
look like it's good.
Look like it's gonna be fun. Look like it's gonna be,
Exciting.
yeah, yeah. I do this. You can see all the glory of it,
Right.
and in the end, you'll begin to recognize I never should have gotten into this.
Right.
I've been played.
Yeah. Definitely been played.
So you have a story to tell about how uh, you got into some things and the devil played you
Right.
in some ways, but God recovered you and brought you out, and now you know how not to get played,
Right.
right? And,
Yeah.
and so now you're here growing in grace to help others to know, especially some of our young people, how not to get played.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about this. This is Kim Jeffries,
Yes.
and so tell me a little bit about how you begin to understand the tricks and cunning craftiness of the devil.
Okay. So it started young, very young, and um I didn't realize that the influence that I had around me was affecting me. So I was always that type of person that nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm a leader, right? But people were telling me what to do, and I wasn't, as much of a leader as I thought. So, girls are doing things, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that seems pretty cool, or it seems harmless. It doesn't seem like it's an issue. But once those things started to get in me and started to take root, it became even a bigger issue for me than for them. A lot of the times when we know better, things hit us harder than it does for other people who may not know, exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So once I hit high school, I started to rebel a lot because of the influence. I mean, it was me too. I'm not even gonna front. It was me, but the influence that I had around me, who I chose to be my friends, the type of people that I was looking for to be my friends. So I'm not looking for just anybody. I want people who are popular, people who are cool, or at least seem cooler than me. And I, really wanted to detach myself from the church girl look by any means necessary. So I started to go after that, and in me going after that, I had a baby at 16, and it was just a like domino effect of things that I was going through basically because I chose to go after something different than what I was being taught in the pulpit and what my mom said. And so I became a teenage mom, and it was just by the grace of God that I had somebody in my life who was willing to help me out in that situation to where, I didn't necessarily, have to raise her, but there were consequences from that. My mom suffered from that. It's not just about what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times what we do affects everybody else around you.
Mm-hmm.
So me, doing what I wanted to do affected my mom. It affected my family. You, because
Mm-hmm.
you were there, your wife, Belinda, Terry. All of these people are now involved based off what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the times we don't see that what we're doing in our lives and who we choose to be around and who we choose to hang out with can not only affect us but everybody else around us.
Yeah.
So
So you got played.
definitely got played.
16, little baby. All right. So how did you get played?
um, Listening to somebody else instead of who I was supposed to be listening to. Somebody gave me attention. I grew up in a household where it was four of us.
Mm-hmm.
So the attention that I wasn't getting at home,
Mm-hmm.
he was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that you're not getting the attention that you want or that you need as a child at home, you try to seek it elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was actively seeking it, but when somebody comes along like, hey, you pretty, and you're not used to hearing that,
Mm-hmm.
because you're the skirt girl, you wear skirts all the time, so people are not really looking
Mm-hmm.
at you, or at least you feel that way anyway, and it's really the wrong attention. But
Mm-hmm.
he made me feel like I was important, like
Mm-hmm.
he was listening to me, like he cared for me,
Mm-hmm.
and in actuality, I wasn't the only one. So
So he was
definitely got
so you
played.
got played by a player.
Yes.
Okay.
And guys tell us these things to make us feel good, to make us, want to defy what we know is right, to defy the truth. But if they're willing to make you go against what you've been taught, what your beliefs are, do they really love you? Do they really care about you? You can't care about me, then want me to go against myself. Because honestly, when you do that, you're going against yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in the long run, now you have soul ties with other people,
Yeah.
and then you decide, okay, you grow up, you mature, you want to get married, and now you bring that into your marriage. So I definitely got played in that aspect of thinking I was cared by for somebody.
Cared for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that wasn't
That wasn't
even
the
close
case.
to the truth.
Yeah. Well, so was there any promises? Were there
Yeah,
any
we
promises
were
there?
gonna
What was the promises?
we
Give
were
me
gonna
some of the.
we were gonna be together forever.
Oh, okay.
Nobody could
Okay.
could come in and
Uh-huh.
and break us up.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wasn't the only one. You had another girlfriend in the same school, so
Mm-hmm.
we actually had children around the same time. Like I think three
Oh.
days apart.
Oh.
So
Mm-hmm.
that what sometimes or a lot of times what we're being told, versus what's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We're kids, like we're young, and so their minds are not mature enough to even kind of make that kind of commitment to you that it's gonna be us forever, or don't worry about what your mom says. I got you. You don't even have a job.
You don't have a job, you don't have a house, you don't have a
You don't have
car, you
anything.
don't
How
have
do
anything
you
going for you, but you're going to give me and support me in all these ways.
exactly
We're riding the bus
together?
to Crystals and
Right,
going Dutch.
right, right. And so
So like when you would go out, who would pay?
me, I'll pay for myself.
You would pay for yourself. And that was not like a clue that, hey,
No,
okay.
because anything that was, like I said, I wanted to separate myself.
Uh-huh.
So anything that was gonna separate me, the fact that I just have a boyfriend
Okay.
is enough for
Okay.
me. But it wasn't enough. Like that was not enough for me. And so we thinking, okay, we're gonna be together. At one point, we were even talking about getting married.
Okay.
And that's just how much of I was really getting played. Because had I done that, I can't even imagine where my life would be at this point, at this stage.
Yeah.
So just trying to work so hard to separate myself from what I grew up in did a lot of damage. More damage than good. because it doesn't work trying to separate yourself from your life support.
Yeah.
And so, I thought that as long as he told me that I was pretty, as long as he told me I looked good, as long as, I got those affirmations from him, I was good. I didn't need nothing else. But then at some point the affirmation stopped coming. I wasn't the prettiest girl. So now I'm searching and I'm seeking that from somebody else. So it was like a domino effect. Okay, if you're not giving that to me now, where can I go to find that? And in my mind, it wasn't the church. It should have been the church. But
So that as you got in trouble with that, that led you to something else. That led you to something else because the promise that was given to you from that and the things you thought you would get out of that relationship, that didn't come. And it was a high, but then the low was lower than where you was at before.
Exactly.
So you was there, you started at ground zero, but then when you got through with that so-called high, you was below zero.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you're trying to find that next thing that would bring you up.
Right.
And, that next high that was contrary to sound teaching and sound doctrine. Because I remember even around that time, where we was teaching about these specific things. And sometimes what people say, the church did this or allowed this, and actually they be lying on the church.
Right.
Because the church be telling the right thing,
Yeah.
but the people are doing opposite to what we're saying. Do you agree with that? But sometimes people say the church didn't do this and don't teach this and don't teach that. And really, you have to be careful because you're lying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what's being taught is just not being obeyed.
That's true. I mean, I would literally, and you used to preach about fornication all the time.
Yeah.
And I would literally come to church, and the moment you start speaking about it, I would tune out.
Yeah.
I know you.
Or your leg would start moving real fast like this, because I pay attention, and I see you start doing like this or fidgeting, or you got to go to the bathroom.
Yep, you got to get out of there because that's not the topic
That's
I
that
want
devil
to talk
trying.
about. That is not the topic I want to discuss.
Yeah.
So I just didn't want to listen to what was being taught, and it was being taught, and we would even have our own conversations. And we would counsel and things like that, but it was certain things I just wanted to detach myself away from because of what I saw. So what I saw was, cooler.
In the world,
Right.
You saw something that was shinier, and you saw more beauty out there than beauty and holiness.
Right.
And you thought now that's what I need to be.
That's what
now
I
look
want.
at that right there. That's fly right there. Now that's what I need to be doing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, come on now. Somebody who grew up in the church, that scene. I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like I go out. I can do certain things. Why not? Why would I not want that scene when it looks better to me than what's going on in church? Because I didn't understand the beauty of holiness. I didn't understand how important it was or how beautiful it was to be a modest person. I just didn't. I didn't see it. So I was just like, that looks nice out there. So let me figure out whatever way I can to go and be a part of that. And if that meant that it was going to be a detriment to me, I was okay with that. I didn't see it as a detriment at that time.
Yeah.
But I had to go through a lot because of where I wanted to be. And I mean, honestly, I almost didn't graduate because of it. Like I had my daughter in January. I graduated that May. Barely made it. And it was just a lot of pitfalls trying to be somebody else, trying to do something, different from what I was taught.
Yeah.
And I mean, not only did I play myself, I got played by the devil, I got played by the guy, and it was just a series of effects of, different people that I would talk to that would make me feel up here initially, and then after a while I wouldn't feel that way, but I was seeking the wrong attention. Honestly, the type of guys that I was going after, based off the way that I was dressing, based off what I was willing to do, willing to, dress like or whatever like that, they weren't anybody that I would have married. Like,
yeah. So you was attractive, but you was attracting the flies and the fleas and not the guys that would actually be marriage material.
Right.
Because okay, so you were not trying to dress in a modest way. You were trying to actually dress in a way that would be attractive to a guy of the world.
Right.
And what did you attract?
Mess. A bunch of mess. Because they have good talk. They can talk
Yeah.
real good game.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to, I remember having a conversation with one guy, and just based off, even though I wanted to detach myself from the church, it was a lot of stuff I still kept with me. And I was just having a conversation with a guy, and I was just like, there are certain things that I'm looking for if I was to get married. And I mean, the list of things that I was saying, and the way he was just looking at me like, who finna do that? One person for the rest? No. It, like the monogamy was out.
He was upfront about that.
Yeah, that was.
There ain't gonna be no monogamy here now. Okay.
That was a no. That was a no. Yeah. But I would think I was 19 at that time. So my journey started young because I was so against what was being taught. So it just my journey, the path that I took, like I said, was so much harder because I wanted certain things. Yeah. And it just,
worldly things,
yeah,
ungodly things, and the Bible even says this, that the way of a transgressor is
hard.
It
was definitely
it
was definitely
like
hard.
like God has this beautiful highway laid out for you. It's called the highway of holiness. But instead of staying on the highway, we go off into the woods and down through the valleys.
Take our own route.
Yeah, you trying to cut a new road when the highway has already been paved.
Because honestly, in my mind, y'all didn't know what y'all was talking about.
We didn't know, did we?
Y'all are older than me. This is a new generation,
Exactly.
a new time.
Of course.
What possibly could you tell me about what's going on today?
Okay. All right.
In my mind,
Yeah,
that's the way that I was thinking. So I remember, y'all would get up, you would get up in the pulpit and talk about how guys will tell you certain things and they don't mean it and stuff like that. And I'm just like, in my mind, that's not true.
Yeah, my boyfriend, he mean every word. He got it going on.
It's not true. It's what you're saying is not true.
Yeah,
I know.
He is now. My boyfriend is truthful to me.
Yeah, he's telling me the truth.
Okay.
A bunch of lies. But at that time, in my mind, he was telling me the truth, or really anybody, that, because you and Renee would say, you're pretty, you don't need the makeup, and you don't need this, and you don't, but that wasn't enough for me because.
And for our audience, Renee is my wife.
Yes.
Okay.
That wasn't enough for me because holiness in general is beautiful, right? So I felt like the lens in which I was looking from was not the same lens I was looking from.
Yes.
So I didn't feel like what was being said to me from you all was true. And I felt like it was almost like a thing where they're just saying that because they want me to stop wearing makeup. Or they just saying that because they want me to stop wearing the extra hair and all this other stuff. And so
we were trying to trick you.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I'm just like, it's not true.
So the devil wasn't trying to, the world and the facade of the world, that wasn't trying to trick you. All the fake things out there, the false things out there, that wasn't trying to deceive you.
No.
The ones that were trying to tell you the truth, that God made you a certain way and you needed to, relish in what God designed. And he designed something good. Now that was suspect. Huh?
Yeah, it was suspect. It wasn't. It wasn't true. And thinking back on it now, it absolutely did not make sense.
Yeah.
But I was a teenager, so it made a lot of sense to me. Just your parents are supposed to tell you you're beautiful, right? And I looked at y'all like my parents. So.
But I'm gonna be honest. If you was ugly, I just probably wouldn't have said nothing.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
What I'm trying to say is, okay, I wouldn't tell a person they're ugly.
Right.
But if they're not beautiful, I don't believe I would tell them that they were beautiful either. You
Right.
understand?
Yes.
Because like they said in old times, said if you can't say nothing nice, don't
Don't say
say
nothing
nothing.
at all.
Right, right, right. So I wouldn't just try to, in me telling you that, I wasn't really trying to make you feel something that wasn't true or something I didn't believe.
Right.
And my wife, I don't believe she was trying to do that either. We genuinely thought that you were beautiful, as well as your whole family. You're beautiful people. Uh, but the devil, we could see that the devil was trying to take you for a ride. He was playing you. He was playing you. And in the end, the problem with the devil playing you or anybody else is that the end of it, the end game, is death.
Yeah.
That's the end game. He does not have good things to offer. It's death, it's hell, it's destruction. He comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy.
But you don't see that. You don't
Yeah.
in the midst of it,
Uh-huh.
you don't see it. It's not until you get to the end of like you're at the you hit rock bottom and you like, man, what how did I get here? What has happened that you see I've been played. Like it's been I've been taken for a ride. And I want to get out of it, but now how do I get out of it? Because everybody has told me, I don't need to be doing these things. I've had conversations, I've had counsel. I mean, between you, Belinda, Renee, and Pastor Terry, I was counseling a lot because you all work with me a lot, and then my mom, of course. Um, and so I was getting the counseling that I needed, but I still went contrary. And so because of that, when I hit rock bottom, I'm like, man, I cannot go to them and be like, it didn't work. I messed up. It's horrible. That at least that's how I felt.
Yeah.
But none of you ever made me feel like I couldn't be honest or transparent. So that actually helped me out a lot in being able to maneuver from where I was to, coming back to the church and different things like that. Because I was able to just speak honestly about where I was and how I was feeling. But I mean, in my mind, the devil was really working with me. Like, you cannot go back to them and be like, I know y'all said it wasn't gonna work, but it didn't work. So what do I do next, or where do I go from here? Like, so it took me a minute to come out of that and say, okay, I need help. And honestly, it was a few times where I came out and I said, okay, I want to do better, and then I would fall back in and come out and fall back in. But eventually, I stayed out.
Stuck with it.
I
Yeah.
stuck with it, but it took me a minute because of what I was used to seeing. Like, I couldn't believe that, and this is how much being out there, kind of messed me up as far as seeing what the society thinks is beautiful. And a lot of it was self-esteem issues that I needed to work with. But what society says is beautiful versus what's actually beautiful. Because I ended up finding somebody, my husband, who is a great man, and I was still wearing makeup when we started dating. And he was like, I don't like no woman in makeup. And in my mind, I'm like, you just saying that because you're in the church. Like, that's just your mentality. But it's actually pretty. Like, I actually look better. And I'm showing him pictures, like, comparing, like, this is me with no makeup. This is me with makeup. And he's like, yeah, I like that picture. And it will make me so upset.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, this is what men want. How do you not want what the average man out here wants? And I was used to dealing with those type of men.
Yes.
So to deal with him and him saying, no, I don't like the hair, and that was genuinely him. It blew me. It
Yeah.
really was like, it took me a minute to really understand that he actually liked me for
Who you
who
are.
I was, and not the way that other people look or think, what they think beautiful is in society. He just liked me for me.
Yeah. 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 And we try to
But I
tell
can't
you that.
understand
We
that.
try to tell you that. And I'm so glad that you're coming to this position now to where you could see that uh, you don't need all of that. And I see a lot of women that way. Actually, I see women who take away from the beauty that they have by doing all of the extra. In fact, you upset me a little bit. You remember we had a conversation about you on your wedding day, and I told you not to wear all that makeup.
You did.
Didn't I tell you
You
that?
did.
And you showed up all that. I was like, who is this? Who is this? Who is this?
Yeah.
You showed up at this other lady, and you was almost unrecognizable,
Yeah.
almost. And really, the true version of you is better than that fake version. I still say that. I still say that. And we have this wedding picture of you now, and it was like that's not Kim. That is not Kim.
Yeah.
And really, it's not just you. Other women, they would do better to be themselves and recognize what God made them to be, and just be that.
But we're so focused on, we're not focused on what God deems as beautiful.
Yes.
We're focused on what society deems as beautiful, what we see on Instagram, what
Yeah.
we see, on Facebook and TikTok. And I had to realize a lot of times I have to take a break
Yeah.
because it will start to make you feel like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You see how they look, the bodies that they're buying.
Fake buying. You said buying, right?
They're buying it.
Exactly.
They're
It's
buying
fake. It's not
fake,
real.
but people don't even care that it's fake. So it's just like, well, that's the look I want. That's what I'm going for.
Okay, let me help you a little bit. People don't care that it's fake. That's true, the average person. But if you are looking for somebody above average, you should not think that their standard is average.
Yeah. That's
And
absolutely true.
oftentimes women are looking for an above average man, but they're going with average standards.
Now that's a fact.
They're looking for an above average man,
Yeah.
but they're going with the status quo of what all the other women are doing. Why do you expect to get an above average guy or man when you're average?
Doesn't make sense.
Honestly.
I don't even have an answer.
Honestly, well, I say honestly, I'm always honest, but transparently, I would say that when I was looking for a wife, I was not looking for a wife to be average like everybody else, showing their bodies, showing fake stuff, all of the earrings and all of the makeup, and I wasn't looking for that. False hair. I wasn't looking for that because actually I was looking for somebody that was sincere. And part of your sincerity is how you look. Are you putting up a facade, even in your appearance, or are you honest and genuine about who you are in your appearance? Because sometimes that appearance shows a matter of your heart as well. So I just put that out there.
Yeah, but we don't. A lot of times we don't see it like that. But honestly, when you look at it and look at who made you, like God made me. So how I look is beautiful because of how He made me. And if we stop allowing other people to come in and tell us, your size is not good enough, or the way you look, your facial features are not good enough, or your hair is not long enough, you need to put extra hair in it. If we just go based off of what God, has given us, then it'll be good enough. But it took me a minute to understand and realize that I'm good enough just the way I am. And honestly speaking, it wasn't until I started really understanding the word, looking into it myself, and stop basing my faith and my beliefs off my mom, like, and what she was doing. It was, I'm coming to church for myself. Like, and I used to always hear people say, well, I come to church without my parents now. And I'm like, okay. But it makes a difference when you're coming to church for yourself and you're listening for yourself and you're trying to grow yourself. And then now when I look back and I be like, man, the stuff I was out there doing is crazy.
So clarity has come to you, and you can see more clearly now. It's like, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And so now I just, not necessarily warn, but just want to tell, like, the younger girls, it it's okay to be who you are, and you don't have to separate yourself from, the church in order to find out who you are, because you can find out who you are in Christ.
Well, that's the better place to find out who you
Yeah.
are, because the world can almost or can kill you.
There have been several times where I'm just like, I'm not gonna make it through the night. Or like situations where I have to call you. I don't know if you remember, I had to call you one time to come get me out of a situation with one of my friends, and I was supposed to be at church that night,
Yeah.
and you had to come pick me up off of Wilcox.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That was in one of the other
and
times. Okay.
and I'm
Okay.
just like, if I
That's
was
not the time
doing
where my wife and I
no,
came and
no, no,
got
no.
you.
I was in
Okay.
high school then.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this was when I was, making my own decisions and choosing the wrong friends and the wrong people to hang out with. And, they put me in a situation. I'm like, I got to get out of here. Because if I don't, it's going to be some trouble.
Oh
It's going to be some
yeah.
issues.
Oh yeah.
So
And that's where that game banger guy. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm like, I got to get. Got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But there's been several, situations and instances where I'm like, you shouldn't even be in this situation. And honestly speaking, had God taken his hand off me, I could not be here.
Yeah.
And so even down to situations where like I called Notoria and I was just like, hey,
Which is
they're
my
having
daughter. You
right,
got to
right.
remember
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm
By.
sorry. But I called her and I was like, hey, they're having a party tonight. You want to go? And she was like, no, I'm not gonna go. She was like, I don't think you should go either. And I'm like, I'm going. And so, my friends had already went in the house, and it was a house party. And I know y'all have
And I
fought
told you
against
about
these
the house party.
parties.
Do not go to these house parties.
You have said it.
Yeah.
And I walked in the house party, and something was like, turn around. As soon as I turned around, they started shooting from inside the house. I like that literally could have been the end of me. But it was just God's grace, and I shouldn't have been putting myself in those situations, but it was solely based off what I see and what I wanted versus what I needed. And so now, coming to today, I've realized that, a lot of those things I didn't have to go through. I mean, in a sense, it kind of made me realize the importance of, coming to church, being in God, knowing God, loving God. But I could have found that out another way.
Yeah, you didn't have to go
I
the
didn't have to
hard
go
way
the hard way
of experiencing
Right,
everything.
right.
Yeah, and it's like somebody tell you, say, hey, you get shot, it hurts really bad.
I don't want to go through that to know that it hurt. I don't.
Just listen.
Yeah.
Let's listen. Say, yeah, I trust you. I trust you on that. You ain't got to take the gun and let me see and shoot yourself. No, don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that. So let me ask you a question. Sometimes for people to change and recognize they need to change, and just so they can stop getting played, they have to hit rock bottom. What was rock bottom for you?
Whew. That incident, and leaving that house and being alive, I went to church the next the next day. And I know they talk about, people going out clubbing and then coming to church on Sunday. But I definitely went to church on Sunday, and I was just like, if you can give me a way to get out of my living situation, because I was staying with a guy, and I was pregnant at the time. So I was like, if you can get me out of my living situation and allow me to, move forward, I'll stop doing what I'm doing.
Okay, so this is rock bottom. You were pregnant, living with a guy, not married, of course, and in the midst of that, you was at a party where you almost lost your life.
Yep.
And that was rock bottom for me.
That was a big moment for me. And I'm just like, if you allow me to do what I need to do to get out of here, because I wasn't making the money. So honestly, us living together was a benefit for me. So
you was doing that really a lot for a financial situation,
right,
and to have a roof over your head,
right,
yes,
yeah, because I couldn't go back home. So if you help me, then I'm out. And I believe I talked to you like maybe a week later about me moving to Atlanta. And he's like, I don't know about you moving to Atlanta. I just don't know. Because of the life that I was living, had I continued that way, Atlanta wouldn't have been the place for me.
Right.
But I felt like the friends that I had there were not gonna hold me accountable in anything.
The friends that you had in
In Tennessee.
Chattanooga.
They were not going to hold me accountable or help me try to be better because we was all on the same playing field. You doing what I'm doing. And so I moved to Atlanta, and I started hanging out with people who were kind of already settled in the church. And it just helped me to look at things differently. I wanted to be like them. So now I'm looking at a crowd where I'm like, man, they're like they got it going on. They really, in the church and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, well, I want to be better. And, I've tried before and it didn't work out because I've stuck around the same people.
Same crowd, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to live right, and I'm still hanging out after church with my old friends. It wasn't gonna.
And that's not
me.
going to work. And, even the scripture tells us and anybody, come out from among them, be separate. Don't touch the unclean things. And the Lord said, I will receive you, be a father to you, and you'll be my sons and daughters. And that is a very important key. And sometimes I think that some people want to be different, but they don't recognize that you got to let some folks go. And sometimes you got to change. I say sometimes, but really part of the command is change your environment. Yeah. Change your environment. Now, you may not have to change your zip code, but you do have to change the people that you hang out with.
Right. And I just knew for me, I had to change my zip code. I didn't feel like I was strong enough to be able to stay away because those were my people. And so I moved to Atlanta, and I didn't have a place to stay. I was doing Uber out of my car, and literally just, either going to my sister's house or staying in my car or whatever I needed to do, basically just so that I could be, here. And then eventually I was like, this is too much. And I went back. And
to Chattanooga.
And I ended up having a miscarriage. And one of the things that really stuck out to me that I knew that the guy I was staying with, it wasn't going to go anywhere because I was still talking to him, but I'm not living with him now, so that's a plus. One of the things that really stuck out to me is he was like, nobody will ever love you. Nobody else will ever love you. And to me, in my mind, I'm like, anybody who could say that to me don't really care about me. And that day, I took everything, because I still had stuff at his house. I'm like, back and forth. And I'm just like...
And so what he telling you, he ain't hard, he barely getting along. He was just barely getting along, right?
Barely.
Because I think I met this guy. Okay, because his name is coming to me now. So I think I met this. He's barely getting along. And so what he's telling you is, I'm the best you can do.
Right.
And nobody else will never love you.
Nobody else.
And you can see all that. He says, nah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I packed up all my stuff, came back down to Atlanta. I asked my sister, could I keep my stuff at her house? And she said, yeah. And I didn't go back. And that was it for me. And I just continued on my journey of, trying to figure out who I am and where I want to be and how I want to be as a person. And I mean, it wasn't no small journey. Like I can't say overnight, like I was saved and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm doing no. It was definitely a journey for me trying to figure out my place and who I was, because I had been lied to so much about who I'm supposed to be. And so I didn't know who I was supposed to be. I didn't know, who I am. I knew a version of myself. I knew my likes and my dislikes. But I didn't know exactly who I was supposed to be. So it was a journey for me to figure that out. And in the midst of that, I got married, and we had a kid, and I had gotten a lot better. And at some point, I got kind of stagnant. I'm like, well, you got to kind of move forward. You got to keep working. You have to keep going.
Stay with the process.
Exactly.
Because if you stop in the middle of the cycle or in the middle of the process, then you don't get complete.
Right.
And so you saw that you needed to do some things to help in your growth.
Right.
And so you wouldn't just stay in the same spot.
Right. Because I had come a long way. but it wasn't far enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, just the word, and continue to have people like you,
Mm-hmm.
and Pastor Terry in my life to continue to work with me. Okay, well, I see this, or um, you're doing this. Let's work on this.
Mm-hmm.
And so having people in your life to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
to tell you, like, I remember one time we were in a car, and I think I told you this before. We were heading to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm with a new group of people. Have new friends, better friends. They all in the church, and we holding each other accountable. And so my sister Kristen posed the question. She was like, if you were to rate yourself spiritually, where would you rate yourself? And in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm doing great. I've come a long way. I'm a 5. I'm a 6.
Uh-huh.
And everybody in the car just got quiet. And I'm just like, don't nobody nobody agrees with me. Like,
Uh-huh.
and they was like, I'm just gonna be honest. And
Mm-hmm.
you about a 1 or a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
So you just
so
barely getting on the chart,
right.
my
And
friend.
I'm like, out of 10, I'm a 1 or a 2, and it shocked me.
Uh-huh.
But those are the kind of friends that I needed to tell me, like, you not where you think you are. You got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was just like, man, I cannot believe this. But now I appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
because having those kind of people in your life helps you to move along.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep the same people who really don't care about your growth, or y'all are on the same playing field,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we had a conversation today,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 7 or 8. I'm
Okay.
working. I'm a work in progress.
Okay. Uh-huh.
But it's because of who you surround yourself with,
Mm-hmm.
actually coming to church to listen for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
being in the word yourself, praying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All of that makes a difference in who you are, and who you become in
Who you
God.
become. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, when you come to God, you come, with all your stuff, all your baggage,
All
but
of
you
it.
don't supposed to keep it.
Right.
You don't supposed to keep it. And really, ultimately, um, everybody, I don't know if anybody really comes to God that has never been played.
Mm-hmm.
In that the devil is a deceiver. He's faithful to his job.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the devil deceives the world.
Yeah.
And the way that we break that deception is by the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is in the Lord Jesus. And when we come to him, he begins to reveal truth to us.
Right.
And the more truth we have, the more we can walk in truth and in the light.
Right.
And it's a process. It's a process. We're coming from being played, and now we're coming to the truth, which is the
Right.
light.
Right.
And now we are in the process of being made complete in Christ.
Right.
See, and so I'm so glad that you have come to this point in your life. We don't have to come pick you up no more. We don't have to come rescue you. And God is the Savior,
Yeah.
and He saved you from all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're on your way. Now you're on your way.
And what I will say is, you get a whole new set of people when you come to God. Like the family that I have. Like, I tell people all the time, my family is huge. Like,
Uh-huh.
I have aunts, and I have uncles, and I have 2 or 3 sets of parents. Like, it's a lot, and it's way better than anybody out there. What they could have given me out there
Right.
is way better, because I feel loved here. I feel connection here. And I know that's just by the grace of God, but you get that when you come to God. Like, it definitely makes a difference in your walk, having somebody to, come on, you can do it, you can do it, keep going, you got it. It makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Or you're down on the ground. Say, get up,
yeah,
get up.
dust
You can't
yourself
walk down there.
off. Right.
Say, we ain't doing no crawling today.
Right.
Get up,
Right. Right.
get up. And how you get back down there? Then we pick you up last week.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and the thing about it is yes, accountability. Okay, we're gonna hold you accountable. We're gonna say maybe some tough things for you to hear, but all the while we're there sort of supporting you, picking you up again, and let's start this.
Right.
Let's start this over again.
Right.
And the giving up situation, ain't no giving up. We're gonna just keep on working at it until you finally get it.
Yep.
And that's how it is. And that's why, and I will say this to you, that you saw the patience that God had with you, and even through people, His people, how the patience and
Yeah.
seemed like say, "Oh, man, I don't have no more chances.
Listen.
I don't have no more chances."
Yeah.
And see, our God, they say He's the God of a second chance. I
Yeah.
don't know,
He
maybe
gave a
8,
lot of
9.
chances. A lot of
But
chances.
the reality is while you are alive, you have a chance. And so sometimes people get, oh, I did this again. It ought to come a time where you walk and live without falling
Right.
and stumbling all over the place.
Right.
It ought to come that time. But if that time hasn't come yet, get up again and let's try it again.
Right.
Let's try it again. Don't try it by yourself.
Yeah.
Try it with your
That's the key.
support. Try it with your support. And with your support, almost like with training wheels. With training wheels. For a while, you got the training wheels on. And on both sides. I don't one side of training wheel now. One on the left and none.
Right. They on both sides.
You got the training wheels on both sides. All right. And you're rolling, you're rolling, you're rolling, you're rolling. And eventually your support will know, okay, let's take the training wheels off.
Right.
And then next thing you know, you're riding by yourself, and then your support is behind you clapping.
Right.
Hey, you got this,
Right.
you got
You
it.
doing it.
And then you look down and say, oh, my training wheel's gone.
Right.
I just use it as an illustration. But in reality, then you kind of experience something like that. Yeah. And I would encourage anybody that feels like they've been played, they've been had, they've been hoodwinked. Don't let the devil keep doing that to you.
Yeah.
Don't let the peer pressure, that negative, devilish peer pressure, continue to influence you. There's another group, and there's some people that would influence you and help you in the way of righteousness. Because you experienced some positive peer pressure by you changed your environment and got around people who were living like you wanted to live.
Right.
And through that, it began to motivate you in a different way. You agree?
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah. It definitely made a difference. Choosing, because you have to choose to have a different set of people and to be around a different set of people. And so me choosing that definitely had a benefit on who I am now and who I'm becoming. So that definitely made a difference. And then just being able to take constructive criticism also helped. Because, yeah. Because if you can't take constructive criticism, it's hard.
Yeah.
It'll make the journey harder. Because you telling me you shouldn't have said that, or you kind of got an attitude right now. You need to work on that. If I wasn't the type of person who could take constructive criticism, I could have been like, I don't want to deal with that, or I'm out, or I'm good. So being able to take that definitely helps as well.
Okay. So you ain't getting played no more, huh?
No, I'm not getting played no more.
That's wonderful for you, and I thank you for coming and being transparent and sharing how that you did get played, so that some of those in our audience won't get played. You don't have to go through what you agree that there are some daughters out there now, they're 12, 13. They don't have to experience what you did.
Not at all.
And you don't want
No.
that for others.
Not at all.
Right? So if you could hear this today and receive the benefit of this conversation and the blessing from this conversation, you would do well, especially those that have not gone through these channels and these roads and these paths of being played. You don't have to be played. Now, if you have, then there's hope. And Sister Kim Jeffries is an example of that hope. You can say, not anymore, no more, I'm done. Quit playing the game and start serving God and let Him help you. Yeah. And so we're thankful that you came to join us today. Thankful that you listened to this conversation. Thank you for being here with Growing in Grace. And we would like for you to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your neighbors and friends about this podcast. And we are going to ask you to come back again. And until next time, God bless you.